Hello. This is Paul Wing, and I've come to tell you the story of Little Black Sambo and the twins. Once upon a time, Little Black Sambo's father, whose name was Black Jumbo, gave Little Black Sambo a big hammer and a lot of long nails and some pieces of wood. So, of course, Little Black Sambo started to build a house for himself. He was building it right close to the edge of the deep jungle around his father's house. And while he was busy working, he heard someone calling him. Little Black Sambo, Little Black Sambo. Well, he looked up and saw his mother, whose name was Black Mumbo, standing at the door. So he called back to her. Yes, Mother, what is it? And Black Mumbo said, You come here and you'll see. So Little Black Sambo ran to the house. And there he saw two of the cutest little black twins that ever were. Two little black babies lying in a big basket. Little Black Sambo was so surprised his eyes almost popped right out of his head. And he was even more surprised when Black Mumbo said, They're yours, Little Black Sambo. They're your little twin brothers. And Little Black Sambo said, Oh, how wonderful! I shall call them Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof. At first, Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof were so tiny that all they could do was lie in their basket. But they got bigger and bigger, until pretty soon they were big enough to take hold of Little Black Sambo's hands and go walking with him. They didn't stop there either. They got still bigger, until they were big enough for him to give them their bath and their supper of bread and milk. And on their first birthday, Little Black Sambo gave Little Black Wolf a little china mug with W-O-O-F painted on it. And that, of course, spells woof. And he gave Little Black Moof a little china mug with M-O-O-F painted on it. And that, naturally, spells moof. And on their next birthday, he gave Little Black Wolf a beautiful long red sash to wear round his waist. And he gave Little Black Moof a beautiful long blue sash to wear round his waist. Then didn't Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof look grand? One day, Little Black Sambo was out in the yard playing horse with Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof. When Black Mumbo called him, Little Black Sambo, she called, please go into the jungle and fetch me some sticks. I want to roast this leg of mutton for dinner, and I haven't enough wood. So Little Black Sambo hung his beautiful little red coat and his beautiful little blue trousers on a bush, because he didn't want to spoil them, and he ran off into the jungle to fetch some sticks. And he left Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof by the door, playing with their little china mugs. And just then it got to be time for you to put on the next record, so I can tell you what happened after that. Well, not very far from Little Black Sambo's house was a thick forest of very tall palm trees. And at the very top of the very tallest palm tree, there lived two wicked monkeys. Those wicked monkeys had often looked at Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof and wished they could have them for their babies. So while Little Black Sambo was away in the jungle, gathering a big bundle of sticks and bringing them home on his shoulder, those wicked monkeys came creeping softly down from the very tallest palm tree and snatched up Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof and scampered away up to the top of the very tallest palm tree with Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof. And the monkeys thought the little china mugs were so pretty that they took them, too. Poor Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof screamed and struggled, and Black Mumbo came running to the door. But it was all no use. The wicked monkeys carried the twins clear up to the top of the palm tree, and when they got there, they laughed. "Ha, ha, ha, ha," they said, "now you're our twins." And Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof cried and cried, and their tears fell through the leaves of the tree and pattered on the ground like rain. Well, when Little Black Sambo came back with his bundle of sticks, He was feeling very happy until Black Mumbo came running to him and said, "Oh, Little Black Sambo, the wicked monkeys have carried off Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof." And Little Black Sambo dropped his bundle of sticks. And Little Black Sambo and Black Mumbo ran to the palm trees. And they looked and looked and looked up among the leaves, but they couldn't see Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof anywhere. They didn't even know what tree they were in. And poor Black Mumbo sat down and threw her apron over her head and cried and cried and cried. And Little Black Sambo wandered sadly away among the trees. But all of a sudden he stopped, for he saw two little china mugs lying at the foot of the very tallest palm tree where the wicked monkeys had dropped them so they could climb the tree with Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof in their arms. Little Black Sambo called to Black Mumbo, "Mother, Mother, I've found the tree." So Black Mumbo ran to the tree. And as she and Little Black Sambo stood looking up into its very topmost leaves, a big tear splashed right onto Little Black Sambo's nose. And another one splashed right onto Black Mumbo's nose. So they knew it was the right tree, but they still didn't know how to get up the tree to save Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof from the wicked monkeys. So you put on the next record, and we'll see whether they ever did save the twins. Little Black Sambo and Black Mumbo didn't know how to get up the tree, and they were afraid to call to Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof, for fear the twins would try to peep over and would tumble down. My goodness, that would never do at all. So while Black Mumbo went back to the house to get an extra handkerchief because she had been crying so hard her regular one was all wet, Little Black Sambo sat down and gazed up into the leaves and tried hard to think of some way to climb the tree. He thought and thought. And at last he said, "I'd like to batter those wicked monkeys with my hammer." And suddenly that gave him an idea. He took his hammer and the big nails that Black Jumbo had given him, and he began to hammer nails into the palm tree. One by one, until he had made a kind of stepladder right up the trunk of the tree. And he climbed joyfully up his ladder. But when he got to the top of the trunk, to the place where the palm leaves came out, he found he couldn't climb past their prickly points, so he just had to climb down again, very sorrowfully indeed. Little Black Sambo sat down at the foot of the tree and cried and cried and cried. And that's where we'll have to leave him for a moment. Now, it happened that when Black Mumbo had first come to the door to call Little Black Sambo, with a leg of mutton in her hand, a big white eagle was soaring around up in the sky, and with his big bright eyes, he spied Black Mumbo and the leg of mutton, and he thought what a lovely dinner that leg of mutton would make for his little white eaglets, if only Black Mumbo would give it to him. Well, when he saw Little Black Sambo sitting under the palm tree, he flew down to ask him whether there was any way he could get Black Mumbo to give him the leg of mutton. But when he saw how Little Black Sambo was crying, he was very sorry for him, because he was really a very kind old eagle. And he said, "What's the matter, Little Black Sambo?" So Little Black Sambo told him how the wicked monkeys had carried off Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof. The eagle cocked his head on one side and listened to Little Black Sambo's story. Then he said, "If I help you get back Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof, do you think Black Mumbo will give me that leg of mutton for my little white eaglets?" And Little Black Sambo said, "I'm sure she will." So up into the air the eagle flew, to the top of the very tallest palm tree. When the wicked monkeys saw him, they were so scared they scrambled down the tree as fast as they possibly could and ran far, far away into the jungle. But when Little Black Wolf and Little Black Moof saw the big white eagle, they were scared too. They were so scared that they crept down among the palm leaves and hid themselves so the eagle couldn't possibly reach them. Well, The eagle came back down to little black Sambo and told him about this. And the eagle said, "Whatever are we to do?" And if you want to know what they did do, just put on the next record and you'll find out. When the eagle said, "Whatever shall we do?" little black Sambo said, "Perhaps if you took me up to the top of the very tallest palm tree on your back, perhaps little black Wolf and little black Moof would come out to me, because they wouldn't be frightened then, because they know me." The eagle said, "That's a very good idea. Get on my back, and I'll take you up there in a jiffy." So little black Sambo climbed up on the eagle's back, and the eagle spread his great white wings, and with little black Sambo holding on tight around his neck, quicker than you could think, the eagle flew away up to the top of the tree. The eagle perched on one of the tree's highest branches, and little black Sambo climbed off his back and scrambled close to where little black Wolf and little black Moof were hiding. And oh, how happy little black Wolf and little black Moof were to see him. Then little black Sambo took off little black Wolf's beautiful long red sash, and with it he tied little black Wolf tightly to one side of the eagle's neck. Then he took off little black Moof's beautiful long blue sash, and with it he tied little black Moof tightly to the other side of the eagle's neck. Then he climbed onto the eagle's back again, and the eagle spread his great wings and flew down to the ground. And while the eagle sat very quietly, little black Sambo climbed off his back and untied the beautiful long red sash and lifted little black Wolf to the ground. Then he untied the beautiful long blue sash and lifted little black Moof to the ground. And then they all said, "Thank you," most politely to the eagle. And they bowed to the eagle, and the eagle bowed back to them. And then little black Sambo and little black Wolf and little black Moof all ran to the house as fast as ever they could. Their father, Black Jumbo, had just come home from his work, and he and Black Mumbo came running out to meet little black Sambo and little black Wolf and little black Moof. And Black Jumbo hugged little black Wolf, and Black Mumbo hugged little black Moof, and little black Sambo hugged everybody. He was so happy. Then Black Mumbo gave the eagle 2 legs of mutton, and he carried them away to his little white eaglets. And since Black Mumbo had no mutton left for dinner, she made a perfectly enormous platter of pancakes, and they ate every single one of them. So everybody had a wonderful feast, except the 2 wicked monkeys. And that is the story of Little Black Sambo and the twins.